Real Virginia is proudly produced by the Virginia Farm Bureau Federation. Since 1926, Farm Bureau has been working to preserve Virginia farms and our rural heritage. Visit our website at vafb.com.
Hello everyone, and welcome to Real Virginia, a show about Virginia agriculture and the people who produce the wonderful local products we enjoy. Brought to you by the Virginia Farm Bureau. Virginia is home to a national youth leader in agriculture. One-pot dishes are a great treat in the wintertime, and Virginia farmers are among those dealing with job-related stress.
Home will always be Virginia, between the Blue Ridge and Chesapeake Bay, Atlantic to Appalachia, home in my heart always.
Welcome back to Real Virginia, everyone. We're coming to you this week from Powhatan County High School, which has had an active FFA chapter since the Future Farmers of America organized in 1928. The FFA has a long tradition of helping young people develop careers in agriculture and beyond. Burke MOELLER introduces us to one Virginia FFA student who has been selected to represent the organization nationwide and overseas.
Formerly known as the Future Farmers of America, the National FFA organization is dedicated to introducing and promoting agriculture to students at the primary and secondary school levels. The group uses agriculture education to teach young people about the industry, as well as critical life and job skills such as leadership and public speaking.
FFA is the nation's largest student-led organization. We have over 700,000 members nationwide. Students within FFA participate in contests, including public speaking. For me, I participated in the agri-science fair, but they also learn about agriculture. So FFA starts in the agriculture classroom. It's the leadership component of agricultural education. And then all students also complete a supervised agricultural experience or an SAE project. So for me, this was working on my family's farm, but for other students, it may be working in a greenhouse or even volunteering in their community. So students are able to take the skills they learn inside of the classroom and apply them to a real-world setting.
Seibel was selected at the 2019 National FFA Convention as one of 6 college students to participate in the officers program.
She was elected by her peers, which is a really cool process. So she was elected by chosen by a nominating committee made up of students, and the entire delegate body with representatives from each state association voted to approve her to be on the national officer team. So these 6 officers really represent the organization. They're the face of the organization.
The FFA is a derivative of the Smith-Hughes Act of 1917, which expanded educational disciplines in the U.S. to include fields such as agriculture and vocational studies. That same year, Woodlawn High School in Carroll County, Virginia, became the first public secondary school in the nation to offer agricultural education classes under the Smith-Hughes Act. The Future Farmers of America was formally established in 1928. Today, FFA students learn agriculture in and out of the classroom. Students who go through the program say agriculture isn't always the most important thing they take away from their experience.
The leadership aspect of it, you learn effective communication and how to work well with others, which no matter what job you are occupied in the future will be an asset.
For me as a national officer, I get the chance to meet a lot of different people, hundreds of thousands of people actually this year. And the chance to learn from other people, I really do believe that every person we meet has something that we can learn from and they can teach us.
Seibel will travel to Asia as part of her year of serving the National FFA, working with the Future Farmers of Japan, which was established shortly after World War II. And she has a direct plan for applying what she learns over the next year to her life after college.
My goal is to be a rural nurse practitioner, and I really believe that one of the basic necessities that all people have is food with agriculture, but also basic health care. And I really feel like I can bridge the gap between those two industries. I grew up on a farm, and so I have a lot of respect for agricultural lifestyles and heritage. And so I think that as a nurse in those communities, I can help support our rural heritage and rural backbone of our country in a unique way, and also tie agriculture into that.
Seibel comes from a family steeped in agriculture, but that's not a requirement for a student to succeed in the program. Erin Organ didn't come to the FFA from an agricultural background.
I never really knew how kind people can be until I joined the FFA, especially since I didn't come from that background, and I know a lot of people did, so it was kind of intimidating, but everyone was very open and welcoming to me, and I really appreciated that.
Organ has ambitions to become an environmental lawyer. She feels the skills she learned through FFA are going to help her there.
The FFA really taught me a lot about different backgrounds and diversity, and I believe that's really important as a lawyer to understand different backgrounds and where people come from, especially when it comes to environmental law. So I'm definitely going to use that aspect of the FFA to help me along with my career path.
She's not the only FFA student to aspire to a career in law or politics. Andrew Smith is a lobbyist with the Virginia Farm Bureau Federation, representing farmers at the state capitol.
I think the FFA opened my world up in the industry of agriculture and beyond. It also helped me develop my communication skills, both public speaking, parliamentary law, and learned about the other segments of agriculture that I might not have known about growing up in my county in Virginia.
There's something real about it. There's something tangible about it. Students take care of animal projects, or they grow something in the greenhouse, or they do lab experiments. There's a realness to what we do. So I think in a day and age where so many things are digital and on the phone and interactions are not face-to-face, we put something in the context of agriculture. All at once now, students are getting their hands dirty, and they're leading with that kind of real, tangible access. And I think that's a growing interest for a lot of students and a lot of parents, that they like that things are real.
In Roanoke County, Virginia, I'm Burke MOELLER reporting.
There was a time when young women weren't even allowed in the Future Farmers of America. The first Future Farmers of Virginia chapter was formed at Virginia Tech in 1925 by 4 agriculture professors. It became the FFA organization in 1928. In 1954, young women could be associated with FFA chapters as chapter sweethearts, and they became eligible to join in 1969. The first female national FFA officer was elected in 1976. In the 50 years since then, women have been effective and capable leaders of the FFA, and they continue to shape the future of agriculture education and the industry as a whole.
I'm Mark Viette. What do you do with your leftover amaryllis that are in containers or your elephant ears? I'll tell you right after this, so stay with us.
Amaryllis bulbs are popular gifts for gardeners and homeowners every holiday season. Mark Viette shows us how to care for them and keep them going all year long in the garden.
Before winter sets in and before the cold temperatures really hit our plants, you can take them indoors and hold them till next year. So what I'm going to do is trim these back slightly. Trim back the amaryllis. Cut back, just so I can handle these plants. Trim back the foliage. And then I'm going to dig them so I can treat them and cut them back a little harder. So take a little shovel. Dig the amaryllis. Nice, beautiful bulb like this. Here is the elephant ears. Looks great. And I'm going to come in here and get another amaryllis. They've produced nice roots. Going to shake the soil off and take them to a table where I can cut them back further. Now these bulbs have come from South America because amaryllis is a tropical plant. And in fact, my friends at Bluemaker take the bulbs, treat them a certain way, and they grow them hydroponically here. And many of you have seen these in the stores in vases with a little bit of water in the bottom. What we did is after the winter was over, a lot of people know these plants as a Christmas plant. We take them, put them out in our containers or out in the garden in the spring, and they continue to grow. We liquid feed them, and the bulb gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And I just dug these, And what I do with these bulbs is I want to dry them off. So I cut the top off, and I usually trim the roots a little bit. Now, if I'm going to grow them hydroponically, I'm going to cut the roots pretty much completely off. Same thing with the elephant ears. You're going to come in here and you're going to trim this back. So I'm going to trim this elephant ears. And this is what I'm going to save till next year. I'll put these in an area, or this, till spring, where it won't freeze. In some cases, I'm going to pot these back up in maybe November, latter part of November, and many of them will bloom in the winter. But just to show you a little more about how the bulbs produce flowers, and the bigger the bulb, the better. Now, you don't want to do this with all your bulbs because they're not going to bloom for you. And a lot of people go, oh no, what are you doing? But I do a lot of tests to make sure that the bulbs really do what they say they're going to do. So I will take a large bulb, and these are giant bulbs, and I will cut the bulb right in half. And this is what I do with some of the new bulbs before any of this work, or before they're even put in stone hydroponically. And I can look and see I've got 1, 2, 3 flowering stems. I can actually come in here and remove this flowering stem and see how many flowers it's going to have. Take your bulbs after the winter, pot them up, or take them, put them back outdoors in the spring after they flower, and you can enjoy amaryllis and elephant ears year after year after year. I'm Mark Viette. Join me next time in the garden.
For more garden tips, go to inthegardenradio.com.
Apples and potatoes are delicious Virginia products. Chef John Maxwell shows us how to combine them in a skillet dish next, in the heart of the home.
And now, a sneak peek into a day in the life of a Virginia dairy cow. They get their day started. They have some lunch. Get some exercise. Spend time with their friends. And then end their day with dairy sweet dreams. Real dairy, real life, real delicious.
Winter is time for comfort food, like skillet fries. Chef John Maxwell shows us how to add Virginia apples to the mix for a delicious dish in the heart of the home.
Hi, welcome to the heart of the home. I'm Chef John Maxwell, and we're here at Meadow Hall in Meadow Event Park in Doswell, Virginia, where every week we get a chance to play with some great Virginia food. Today, we've got a real special. It's a harvest kind of special. We're doing potatoes, onions, and apples. Great Virginia apples from out in the western part of the state. We got a skillet over here getting hot with a little bit of olive oil. I'm going to add some butter, because olive oil doesn't necessarily brown the potatoes the way I want them without getting them overcooked. So I need a little butter to help with the browning. Besides, everybody needs a little dairy in their diet. Now I'm going to add the onions. And I'm going to let those cook until they caramelize just a little bit. It'll take a couple of minutes. All right, this is just beginning to turn brown. I'm going to go ahead and slice up these apples. I didn't want to do it too soon because apples will brown unless you use an acid. I could use a little bit of vinegar on them, but then that tends to make the apples a little mushy. So there we go. Slice these. While that's browning up a little bit. Beautiful, beautiful Virginia apples. Now, you can use any variety of apples you want. Granny Smiths are great for this because of the texture. I like the flavor of these galas, and I'm not going to cook them long enough to mush them out. So, okay, got a little color in here now. I'm going to add these apples. Now, the apples don't take long to cook. We want to stop the cooking process before they get too mushy, so they still have texture. And the way we're going to do that is by deglazing the pan. Deglazing means to add a cold liquid to it so that you pull up the sediments that are attached to the bottom of the pan. It's kind of like the bits of food that sticks to the pan. We're going to deglaze it with some cider. Let that simmer just a little bit of salt. I'm going to add some thyme. This is some nice fresh Virginia thyme. This time of year we get this mostly out of greenhouses. I'm not sure which county this came from. I know there's a lot of greenhouse growing in the west of Richmond. All right, this is just about ready. Now I'm going to add the potatoes to get them hot. All right, we're ready to pull this off. This is just about where we want it to be. We still have some color in the apple skins. Get a little of that onion from the bottom and put it on the top. Garnish this with a little bit more thyme. And we're just about there. So there we go. Apple and potato skillet fry. It's wonderful. Taste of Virginia. See you next time.
Recipes from the heart of the home can be found on the Virginia Farm Bureau website at vafb.com, as well as on Chef Maxwell's website at chefjohnmaxwell.com.
Almost 202 million pounds of apples were raised in Virginia in 2018 with a value of $37.2 million. That makes apples the seventh most valuable crop raised in the Old Dominion for that year. The number of farms with orchards has dropped over the past 5 years from 733 to 687, and there are 1,100 fewer acres of apple orchards than in 2012. Apples are grown mostly in the western mountains of the state. 70% of Virginia apples are sold for processing and made into popular products such as applesauce, apple juice, apple butter, slices, and cider.
Financial and emotional pressures can be a dangerous combination. Dave Miller reports that Virginia farmers are not immune to these stressors, and farm leaders are taking steps to help.
Financial difficulties, bad weather, low commodity prices, even lost markets due to the trade wars. All these factors weigh on the mind of many Virginia farmers every day, and some of them are having difficulty dealing with all the stress. Dr. Amy Johnson, a nurse practitioner, works with mental health issues in the Bedford area and is also part of the farm community.
It's not something that is looking to end anytime soon. So, over time, these situations build, and it creates compounded stress, and the stress over time weighs on the farmers and their families, and it increases the risk of mental health issues such as anxiety and depression. And when they're having to make these decisions, it increases the risk of injuries on the farm, and it increases the risk of marital stress. It increases the risk of stress between families and farm transition, and ultimately it can lead to the loss of family farms and even the loss of life.
Emotional stress can cause even the most optimistic farmers to doubt that things will turn around. Smaller scale producers have limited options for marketing their products and, in some cases, have to take whatever prices they can get.
It makes you not sleep very much. You worry all the time. Input costs have doubled and tripled in some cases. Equipment, land, what we have to pay to have employees. But we're not getting that in return. We've lost the public in many instances. So, you know, the public's so far removed from agriculture, we can't talk to anybody because nobody really understands, except our very small group that's involved in agriculture. So it's challenging for everybody in their head because you don't really know who you can talk to. It's competitive amongst each other, our contemporaries. It's a very awkward place to be.
In addition to their financial assets, many farmers have a measure of self-worth tied up in their operations. Some rely on hope and faith to get them through difficult economies when they can't figure out a clear way through it.
If you really can just take time and break the monotony of the same old thing, which is hard for farm people because we have to be here every day to feed or check on things or, you know, be with the crops. But you have to take time to break away from it and think about other things to enjoy that. And sometimes that's just talking to your neighbors and being real with them and being honest, which is hard to do because they're your competitors. So, you know, it's hard to talk with your competitors about what's really going on. But hopefully somebody, neighbor, friend, maybe they don't even farm, can just listen and talk it out with you, and sometimes that really helps.
Groups like the Virginia Farm Bureau Federation and the State Agriculture Department have recognized that stress is becoming more of a problem in rural Virginia. Dr. Jewel Brana of the Virginia Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services has announced the formation of a Farmer Stress Task Force to raise awareness of these issues in the farming community and connect farmers who need it with help. One sign that someone is struggling with stress is a change in habits and personality. They may be sleeping less or too much. They may be losing their appetite or acting more irritable than normal.
You know, farming is a very important industry, and it's not an easy industry on a good day, but certainly when we're faced with challenges that we haven't seen in years past, and you know, this farm crisis is certainly one that is unique and nowhere near comparable to ones in the past. That adds a whole new degree of stress. And we are in a new era of technology that adds more difficulties than we've seen before. It's a very real struggle, realizing that if a farmer does have to make the decision that they have to give up the farm, that they're not a failure because they didn't make it, and all of their predecessors did, because this is a whole different age of farming now. So, you know, it's being very supportive and being there for them when they need it most.
Johnson says communication is a key tool to use if you need help or want to help someone else. Talk about the issues with family, friends, or others in the community. If that turns out to be too difficult, find a professional therapist or a doctor. By working together, farmers and their families can get through difficult times and in the end grow stronger. In Bedford County, this is Dave Miller.
We're so glad you could join us this week to celebrate all the bounty Virginia has to offer. From the kitchen to your home and garden to our wide open spaces, we are proud to say that this is Real Virginia. For everyone from the Virginia Farm Bureau, thanks for watching. Make it a great week.
Home will always be Virginia, between the Blue Ridge and Chesapeake Bay.